You're listening to the Red Podcast.
This is episode number 115, and if you've ever wondered what really happens when you put something out online and it goes viral, listen up.
This is the Red Podcast. Real entrepreneur development. Make more money, work less, and live a life of freedom. No BS advice that really works. Here's your hosts, David Hooper and Laurel Staples.
One of the great things about Red Podcast is all the very cool and interesting people that I've met. They're doing great things, and I'm going to introduce you to one of those people. His name is Doyin Richards. He's got a book. It's called Doin Work. The website, daddydoinwork.com. He's a contributor to Huffington Post, Parents Magazine, and others. You may have seen him. He's been on the Today Show. He's been on Good Morning America. And we're going to talk about how he made that happen. He was just a guy with a blog and a book deal, minding his own business, talking to his audience, and then a photo that he took just for his wife went viral. The whole country was talking about him. We're going to talk about how that happened and what went down when it did happen. He's got some great advice for you. I talked to him just a few days ago on Skype. I'm going to play that for you now. Enjoy. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So 2012, you had a mission, a message that you wanted to spread. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so basically in 2012, I decided to start a blog when my oldest daughter was 18 months old, and it was just basically talking about what life is like as a dad. I posted, I think it was called 8 Lessons I Want to Teach My Daughter, and I posted it out there. No one read it. It was just like, I posted a few more blogs for the first 3 months of my blogging life. No one was reading. No one cared. And I was like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this again? And I almost quit. And then I got a blog opportunity with a popular blogger who allowed me to guest post on her site. And then things started to pick up from there.
Talk more about the guest posting. Is that something that you had to go and get, or did she come to you?
No, I went to her. And I think the average life expectancy of a blog is, I think, 6 months. So if you make it past the 6-month threshold, then it means that you're doing something pretty darn good. I almost did not make it to that threshold because I was just like, no one's reading this and it's just a time suck and why am I bothering? But I think what you have to do if you want to take your blog to the next level is to reach out to popular bloggers in your space and see if they would be willing to have you on as a guest blogger to share your voice with his or her audience. I got lucky and that happened for me, and more people learned about who I was, and it took off from there.
Do you have any thoughts on pitching for a guest post? Are you going to them with an article already done? How specific are the articles for each site that you're targeting?
That's a great question. I think a lot of times, one thing that I will tell you is what not to do, and I get this a lot, is the whole cookie cutter. I mean, I'm a smart guy. Most bloggers are smart people, and they understand when you're just using a template that you're sending out to like 30, 40 different bloggers and hope that one of them will bite. Hello, kind sir. I would like to write about these following topics. Please let me know. That's just an instant delete. But if you show that you actually have read my blog and you cite some examples of blogs that I've written and say this is how I would fit in, then yeah, I'll give you a shot. But then sometimes if they offer a writing sample, that also helps me because I don't want to have to, be the grammar police on someone. I want to see that they have the ability to write without me having to shape their voice. So I don't really guest post anymore. I have people guest post for me. I don't guest post for anyone. I do write for publications now, like Today Parents and Huffington Post and Parents Magazine and so on and so forth, Good Men Project. I don't really guest post on any blogs anymore.
So 2012, you're pounding the blog pavement,
yep,
writing posts that nobody seems to care about. You get a guest post, and it all changed in 2013. Even more so when you just happen to snap a photo in your bathroom.
Yeah.
That sounds very controversial, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's really not that bad. Basically, what happened in 2012, the blog started in 2012, and then I got a book deal on my own merit, which is kind of cool. not it's unrelated to the viral stuff that I'm about to talk about. But it was about a month after I got my book deal in mid 2013 that I took a month off of my day job, my corporate job, to be home with my two daughters while my wife went to work. And my wife said, well, I was getting on a particular morning when things were going really crazy. My wife was like, hey, there's no way you can get both of our daughters ready. There's no way. And I was like, listen, I got this. Just go to work. And she said, I'll believe it when I see it. And those were her parting words as she shut the door. And I said to myself, all right, I do got this. I got this. I strapped my youngest daughter to my chest. I put my older daughter on the stool and was brushing her hair. And I just remember those parting words. I believe it when I see it. So then I got my Canon SLR camera, put it on the stool, took the photo that went viral, and I sent it to her, and I was like, what? Boom, check me out. And my wife got a nice little chuckle out of it. But then I was like, hey, I'll just post it on social media too, because it's a cute photo. Then the world exploded. The internet, that photo broke the internet for a few days. Why it happened is still anyone's guess, but yeah, it was pretty crazy.
How long did that take? So one morning, just to set the picture, you're brushing your kid's hair.
Yep.
Regular day.
Mm-hmm.
Next morning, had it gone everywhere?
It was in October of 2013 is when I posted it. And things were going viral, but just social media viral. This kind of crazy on social media, but didn't get mainstream media attention at that time. So it was about like 2 weeks or so. Everyone was talking about it. People were stealing the picture and quote unquote stealing it, borrowing it and using it for their own social media pages in order to garner and get more followers. That part happened for like about 2-3 weeks in October. Then it kind of died down. Then what really happened is when the internet broke is when I was at the end of 2013 and I was blogging. I was like, you know what? I just don't want to blog anymore. I'm kind of tired. I don't have a new blog. Why don't I just do a best of Daddy Doin Work for 2013 and use this blog post that I used as a rebuttal to all the hate I received as the best moment of Daddy Doin Work in 2013. So I posted that in the last week of 2013. And then the Good Men Project, a very popular website, saw it and was like, hey, can we run this blog post that you wrote about this picture? Yeah, sure, go ahead. And then the internet exploded. I remember I ran that post on a Monday, and on the following Thursday, I am on Katie Couric's couch. Getting interviewed, by the way. Nothing. That's all we were doing.
Not the casting couch.
Not the casting couch, the interview couch.
So yeah, the Today Show.
Then I did the Today Show, did CNN. I was interviewed 133 times in 2014. Not all about the viral photo, by the way, but just basically that photo put me on the map. But I think what was interesting is that when people heard me talk and they're like, oh my gosh, this guy's actually articulate. He has some things to say. He has a take. He's moving the conversation forward about being a modern dad in America and across the world. If you look at that photo, it's like I could just be like some moron, not someone who has any discernible talent or opinions on what it means to be a dad in America. Then people are like, this guy's good. This guy has something to say. Things started to pick up from there.
There's two different levels of popularity, I think. I think there's the internet. I'm big on the internet, kind of like I'm big in Japan, what bands used to say.
Yeah.
And then there's real media.
Yeah.
Katie Couric, Today Show, major television appearances. How did your life change once you started getting off the internet into major media?
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, David, is that so often I tell up-and-coming bloggers that your follower numbers, like so many people are like, oh, I have this many followers. There are bloggers, mom, dad, parenting bloggers who have 10 times the following that I have. And it's like, they're so focused on the number. That number is so incredibly empty. It's empty if you want more. If you want more as far as being recognized as a voice on what you're talking about. If you just want to be popular in an internet high school, then yeah, be that person. I want more. I want to be a voice that people will come to when it comes to modern fatherhood. And I just stopped caring about how many followers I have and who's tweeting me out and who's doing this. I want the Today shows, the CNNs, the USA Todays, the Yahoos to call me to be like, hey, Doyin, there's something going on in modern fatherhood. We want your voice to talk about it. I think that's really where I took the leap from being internet famous, so to speak, to being a voice that that mainstream media wants to come to when talking about modern fatherhood, so to speak.
Something I've noticed when an internet celebrity will go on mainstream TV, media, newspapers, especially radio and anything video related, though, they don't seem to be able to cut it. It's like they were great on the small stage, but in the big arena, the big stage, they just seem kind of lost. With you, however, I was blown away. And I was like, did this guy have media training? What's up? It seemed like you were completely poised and ready for that. You're talking about being on Katie Couric's couch so quickly.
Yeah.
You were ready for it, man. So any tips on media training for somebody that this may or may not happen to in the future?
Yeah, I think really what it comes down to, David, is that you're having a conversation. It's no different than having a conversation with your spouse or your friend. It's just a conversation. And the thing about the conversation is that you have to make sure that it's a pithy conversation, not something where you're rambling, because these segments are 2 minutes, 5 minutes at a time. There's no time to give your life story. You have to just basically hit them over the head with soundbite, 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 and look them in the eye. Don't look down. Don't tap your feet. It's just stuff that, for me, just came naturally. I'm not saying that I'm a media pro by any means. I still have my issues, but I think that I don't get nervous on TV. I get nervous taking my daughter to, Target, but I don't, because sometimes she has meltdowns, but I don't get nervous on TV, no. It's just, for me, it's a comfortable conversation with another adult, and yeah, it's really all it is.
What is your background?
So I used to facilitate. I was a corporate trainer prior to doing what I do now, which is the full-time Daddy Doin Work thing. The background was that, facilitation and being on stage in front of adults, teaching them about leadership and things of that nature. I guess that kind of lends to why I'm not nervous when it comes to camera stuff. And now I do public speaking, so I'm doing things like I'm speaking at my daughter's preschool. It's the parents there, that's one thing. And then I'm keynoting a Fortune 500 company's annual gala later on this month. And then I'll also be speaking at the Dad 2.0 conference coming up at the end of the month, in addition to countless other things that are coming up. So I'm just speaking and talking and getting the message out there about good fatherhood is something that I'm extremely passionate about.
Is there any difference between the audience and the fear that you have or the preparation you do for your daughter's preschool, for example, as opposed to Fortune 500? And the reason I ask is because I know a lot of speakers, they're really comfortable when it comes to local, but it's just like we were talking about a minute ago. People have the internet down. When it gets into major media, they get nervous.
Right.
And same for going to Fortune 500. When you hear those words, like, whoa, these guys are different than me. What am I doing here? So any thoughts on that?
I'm going to be the commencement speaker at my high school graduation in June. Now, that, to me, that makes me nervous. And the reason why that makes me nervous is because this is people putting faith in me that these are kids, they will never get another high school graduation. I remember my commencement speech from my high school graduation, I was 22 years ago. And that stays with you. I want to make sure that I bring it for these kids when it's my turn. The Fortune 500 thing is like, as much as I want to bring it for them and make sure that it's something that leaves an indelible mark on them as professionals, I understand that to many of them, it's just another meeting. I want it to be ingrained in them, but sometimes they may think like, oh, hey, this guy is awesome. He brought it. Really great meeting. But I get worried when I think about the high school graduation thing because the Fortune 500 people have plenty of other keynote speakers, but the high school graduates only get one graduation from high school. So sometimes that kind of sticks with me.
What about negative comments on your reel that you're able to play at the very top of your site, daddydoinwork.com? You've got a highlight reel.
Yep.
And on the lower third, it says target of racist comments or something to that effect. I'd love to know your thoughts on haters when you put yourself